This was not how I was hoping to spend the holidays. It was the end of the year, and as usual, my wife and I were taking the last 2 weeks of December off from work so we could relax and enjoy some time with our family. We had spent the previous couple days shopping and wrapping, and our plan was to stay home the next day and recuperate. When I woke up that morning, I felt off, like I had brain fog. I was mildly dizzy, cold, and my heart felt like it was racing. I was also feeling anxious despite having no reason to be. I recognized the symptoms as something I had experienced briefly a couple of times earlier in the year. Nothing seemed to be horribly wrong though, so I just assumed it was stress or fatigue and that it would pass in a couple hours as it had before. Days started to go by, and slowly the dizziness was getting worse and I started to feel more and more anxious. I tried to make myself calm down and relax, but I really had to fight to slow my breathing. About a month prior, I had gone through a medical procedure to fix a deviated septum in my nose. I had always had trouble with allergies and breathing in general. While the procedure definitely improved my sinuses, I was starting to wonder if something had gone wrong with the surgery that would cause me to have these symptoms. I actually had a follow-up with my nose doctor scheduled for later during our vacation, so I dealt with the dizziness and anxiety and tried to wait for the appointment. In short, he told me the procedure had gone well and that he had no concerns about the outcome. He suspected my symptoms might be inner ear related and that in most cases, these resolve themselves with time as the body adjusts to occasional structural changes within the ear itself. The ENT suggested I wait a month to see if it would go away on its own, and said that if I continued to have symptoms, that he would do a comprehensive ear exam, testing my hearing and overall balance. The idea of waiting a month to see if my symptoms would fade filled me with despair. I immediately made an appointment with my general practitioner, who listened to my symptoms with patience, and then scheduled me for an MRI in my head the next day, with a focus on my ears. I anxiously awaited the results, hoping to find out what was making me so miserable, but the MRI showed that everything looked great, with no signs of any problems with my ears. I was relieved, but at the same time I was getting nervous about the situation. I still had no idea what was causing me to feel worse and worse, and my vacation was coming to an end. Soon I would need to return to work and function like a human being, instead of lying on the couch trying to fight what I was becoming sure was a panic attack. My doctor ended up writing me a prescription for an antidepressant. I never filled it, but just knowing it was available made me feel a little bit better, like there was still something I could do or try. After taking a couple sick days to extend my time off, I went back to work. Being so dizzy, I didn't trust myself to drive, so my wife had to cart me to and from the office every day. Each day in the office was difficult, but I trudged through them as best I could. Even the trips down the hall to the bathroom were difficult. In the evenings, I spent most of my time searching the internet looking for possible causes. It turns out there were a lot of possibilities, many of which scared me quite a bit. I survived the month until the hearing test with the ENT who had worked on my sinuses. I went into it sure I would come out with a bad diagnosis, but I was still looking forward to it because I really just wanted to know what was happening to me. Of all the possible results I expected, I didn't anticipate this one. I passed all the tests and everything looked great. This gave me even more anxiety, which I think the doctor noticed. He said that he was an ENT and that in terms of dizziness, the ears were the only tool he had in his bag of tricks, but that a neurologist would have a whole other list of things that could be tested for. With that in mind, I called my general practitioner again and received a referral to a neurologist. I made an appointment for 2 weeks later. I passed those 2 weeks in the same way I had the previous month. My symptoms were no longer getting worse, but I was still dizzy all the time, sometimes to the point of being nauseous. My anxiety level was pretty high, although it came and went over the course of each day. I would wake up in the middle of the night having had horrible dreams, and I spent most of the time feeling far more depressed than I ever had, often to the point of tears. I also started to get headaches a couple of times a week. My neurologist appointment finally came, and this time I was determined not to get my hopes up for a diagnosis. The neurologist listened to my symptoms, had me walk around the office for a bit while watching my gait for signs of balance issues, and then promptly diagnosed me with migraines. This took me completely by surprise. While I was having headaches on occasion, I didn't have the auras that I assumed were necessary, and my dizziness and anxiety didn't seem to fit either. He responded by saying that the definition of a migraine is expanding all the time, and a wide range of symptoms have now been linked to it. For a treatment, he suggested I keep a journal of my diet and activities in order to determine the triggers. He also said that instead of prescribing medication to begin with, he wanted me to try using magnesium oil for a month to see if it improved my symptoms, as there have been a couple of studies done showing it can help decrease the frequency and severity of migraines. Lastly, he recommended regular aerobic exercise as well as keeping my sleep pattern constant every day of the week, including weekends. After weeks of waiting and worrying about my symptoms, I was skeptical that a simple supplement oil could help me, but at this point I was willing to try almost anything. For the first 24 hours, there was no change in my condition, but I kept taking the magnesium. Around the 48-hour mark, I started to get a really bad headache in the afternoon. It wasn't the worst I'd ever had, but it was the worst I'd had in recent memory. The headache lasted for a little over 24 hours. However, when the headache was gone, something strange and wonderful had happened. I was no longer dizzy, my anxiety was gone, and my heart didn't feel like it was racing. I was shocked and thrilled at the same time. The only change I had made was the magnesium supplement oil. I immediately started searching the internet for magnesium deficiency and read about the varied symptoms it can cause. Dizziness, check. Anxiety, check. Racing heart, yes. Depression, you bet. Migraines, boy, can it ever. The more I read, the more I realized two things. The first was that magnesium is incredibly important to the human body, and the second was that many people probably are not getting enough of it. In short, it took 3 doctors and almost 2 months before I ended up with the simple solution of a magnesium supplement. So here's what it's all about. We've all been taught that oxygen and water are essential for life, that the body can't survive without them. What we have not been taught is that magnesium is no different. You see, when we do hear the benefits of magnesium, we're usually told that it helps muscles relax, calms nerves, improves sleep, and that's because it balances calcium. Calcium is used to make muscles contract, but magnesium is the other side of calcium. It's needed to let your muscles relax back to their full length. This muscle relaxing effect also applies to the heart and the arteries. Hypertension, or high blood pressure, is actually a cumulative result of stress, tension, and tight blood vessels. Excess calcium also deposits in arteries and becomes plaque, which is what predisposes one to the dreaded heart attack. But magnesium dissolves calcium and makes it usable. In fact, if you put calcium in a glass of water and stir it, it will remain a white, chalky liquid. But when you add magnesium and stir, the water immediately turns into a clear liquid again. That's what magnesium does inside your body. The calcium deposits can also end up in your joints, which you feel as chronic pain, swelling, arthritis, muscle pain, or nerve pain. And for anyone dealing with chronic pain, this type of constant muscle tension pulls joints out of alignment and therefore pinches nerves, prevents you from having deep, restorative sleep, and also keeps you dehydrated on a cellular level. Calcium deposits can also end up in your brain, where new research is finding a connection between calcium deposits in the brain and Alzheimer's disease. But here's the bigger and lesser known truth about magnesium. It's necessary for over 1,000 different chemical reactions in your body. Think of magnesium as the conductor of your body's biological symphony, a central figure that orchestrates the proper functioning of approximately 80% of the body's life-giving actions. There are so many ways magnesium transforms our health from within the cells that I want to share the 6 top health conditions magnesium has been scientifically found to either reverse, prevent, or help. First is what magnesium does with your very own DNA. As you probably know, our cells divide from one cell into 2. That's how your body cells reproduce. Each of the 2 new cells must contain the same DNA code. Magnesium ensures this happens. Next, our DNA contains the instructions on how the new cells should subdivide and grow. When magnesium is too low, the DNA in the newly formed cells can be broken. It can be incomplete. It can be in many ways altered. And the new cells will take the instructions from the broken DNA and multiply with those instructions. This is the fundamental beginning point of cancer. Cancer is abnormal cell growth. If magnesium levels are too low, or if magnesium is not absorbed the right way into your cells, it predisposes you to cellular mutations. An example of this is this tumor that this lab rat developed when scientists deprived it of magnesium. This was tested repeatedly with the same result. The International Society for the Development of Research on Magnesium also states that magnesium deficiency can lead to the initiation and proliferation of cancer, as well as hinder treatment. This is easy to understand since magnesium is used for so many biochemical reactions, affects the stability of cell membranes, and it protects cells from heavy metals such as mercury and lead. Cells will wither and die without adequate magnesium. Low magnesium will weaken the cell wall, making your body's cells vulnerable to invaders and attackers. And several studies have suggested that this can lead to carcinogenesis, which is a fancy word for cancer formation. A study published in the year 2000 found that almost half of cancer patients admitted to the intensive care unit, ICU, had low magnesium levels. The second thing magnesium protects us from is diabetes. A Harvard University study found that high daily magnesium intake reduced the risk of developing diabetes by 33%. Magnesium for diabetics is critical. At least 25% of diabetics have hypomagnesemia, and this is likely a gross underestimate. Dr. Carolyn Dean, a pioneer in the study of magnesium, found that magnesium deficiency may be an independent predictor of diabetes. She also states that diabetics need more magnesium and lose more magnesium than most people. That's because magnesium is necessary for the production, function, and transport of insulin, and a magnesium deficiency is associated with insulin resistance. According to Dr. Jerry L. Nadler, the link between diabetes mellitus and magnesium deficiency is well known, and magnesium supplementation has been shown to improve insulin sensitivity. Based on current knowledge, clinicians have good reason to believe that magnesium repletion may play a role in delaying type 2 diabetes onset and potentially in warding off its devastating complications, cardiovascular disease, retinopathy, and nephropathy. The third health risk magnesium protects us from, and has even reversed, is a heart attack. If you're ever rushed to the hospital with a heart attack, intravenous magnesium could save your life. In a 1995 study, researchers found that the in-hospital death rate for those receiving IV magnesium was 1/4 that of those who received standard treatment alone. In 2003, a follow-up study of these same patients revealed a lasting effect of magnesium treatment. Nearly twice as many patients in the standard treatment group had died compared to those who received magnesium, and there were considerably more cases of heart failure and impaired heart function in the placebo group. In addition to increasing survival after heart attack, IV magnesium smooths out arrhythmias and improves results of patients undergoing angioplasty with stent placement. A study published in The Lancet reported the effects of a double-blind, randomized, placebo-controlled study in 2,316 patients with suspected myocardial infarction. The results were remarkable. Magnesium reduced cardiovascular mortality. The researchers concluded that magnesium reduced the odds of death by an astonishing 55%. The fourth health risk magnesium miraculously reduces is high blood pressure. When it comes to high blood pressure and hypertension, the results are just astounding. Dr. Lawrence Resnick, professor of medicine and director of hypotension at Wayne State University, studied the blood pressure of patients who were both diabetic and non-diabetic. He found that all patients with hypertension, whether diabetic or non-diabetic, had lower magnesium levels than people with normal blood pressure. Resnick says he has treated patients who are hypertensive in spite of taking 1 or 2 medications to treat the disease, and that by adding magnesium, their pressure returned to normal. Dr. Jianmin Cui, the lead researcher and assistant professor in the Department of Biomedical Engineering at Case Western Reserve University, says, research of this kind may help us understand why some therapies such as magnesium supplements are important in the prevention and management of hypertension or heart failure. The fifth risk magnesium demolishes is cholesterol. When it comes to cholesterol health, magnesium supplementation reduces bad cholesterol and increases the good kind. A well-known magnesium proponent, Mildred Seeling, MD, just before she died in 2004, wrote a paper with Andrea Rosanoff, PhD, showing that magnesium acts by the same mechanisms as statin drugs to lower cholesterol. The last health risk magnesium comes to the rescue for is osteoporosis. Studies have shown that magnesium improves bone mineral density. Without enough magnesium, calcium cannot enter the bones. A group of menopausal women were given magnesium hydroxide to assess the effects of magnesium on bone density. At the end of the 2-year study, magnesium therapy appeared to have prevented fractures and resulted in a significant increase in bone density. But that is just the beginning. Diabetes, stroke and heart attack, arterial sclerosis, chronic pain, dementia and Alzheimer's, irritable bowel syndrome, chronic fatigue, depression, every part of our health is affected by this mineral. That's why I call this mineral deficiency a disease trigger. And I don't ask that you believe me when I say magnesium is one of the most important nutrients in your life. Look below right now and you'll see a long list of quotes from esteemed scientists, journals, and institutions, and the most devastating and debilitating illnesses we are seeing today. Why is the epidemic of magnesium deficiency happening now? The following statement was read into the record of the 74th Congress, Second Session, Senate Document Number 264 in 1936. Do you know that most of us today are suffering from certain dangerous diet deficiencies which cannot be remedied until depleted soils from which our food comes are brought into proper mineral balance? The alarming fact is that foods, fruits, vegetables, and grains, now being raised on millions of acres of land that no longer contain enough of certain minerals, are starving us, no matter how much of them we eat. The truth is that our foods vary enormously in value, and some of them aren't worth eating as food. And part of the soil depletion is due to our friend Monsanto. Glyphosate, which is a main ingredient in Monsanto's Roundup, binds magnesium, and it removes 50% of what little is left in the soil. Some research suggests that Roundup can have a very long half-life, as much as 22 years in the soil. Second, a lot of medications strip magnesium out of our cells. A type of heartburn medication called proton pump inhibitors may be linked to long-term kidney damage, a new study suggests. Prilosec, Nexium, and Prevacid belong to this class of drugs which treat heartburn and acid reflux by lowering the amount of acid produced by the stomach. The medications can cause magnesium levels to decline in the body. This is just one type of drug that depletes magnesium. There are over a dozen more types of drugs that do the same. I've compiled a report of all the drugs found to deplete magnesium, and before we get to the end, you'll see how you can get this report for free. This obviously begs the question, why haven't I heard of this? Good question. Well, there are two answers. First is something called latent nervous system hyperexcitability. Dr. Jean Durlach, president of the International Society for the Development of Research on Magnesium, explains that the body has many ways to compensate for a deficiency. This compensation allows a magnesium deficiency to go undetected. This leads to the development of what he calls latent nervous system hyperexcitability. When symptoms finally register, they show up as an illness. Second, Daniel Heller, a holistic doctor who contributes to the Dr. Oz show, states, magnesium may be the most overlooked mineral. No one has yet popularized a simple way to remember it in the way that we usually associate potassium with bananas, calcium with bone health, and sodium with blood pressure. But magnesium is an incredibly versatile and important nutrient that many doctors, nutritionists, and researchers believe is the single most important nutrient for human health. Third, it's not patentable. Since Big Pharma can't patent it, there's no money in it. So there's no reason for them to spend the billions they do on TV, radio, and magazines to sell their drugs. If they can patent it, you can be sure you'll hear about it everywhere and every day. But until that day comes, I want you to have the tools to take charge of your health today. I'll give you 3 tips you can use to protect yourself. The first tip is to avoid fluoride. Fluoride is being increasingly used in prescription drugs, our water supply, and dental products. Also, drug companies have found that fluoride, which is derived from fluorine, has unique properties that are ideal for prolonging the active presence of a drug in the body. While the drug companies may think fluoride is magnifying the effects of the drug, it's also magnifying the amount and intensity of the drug side effects. The trouble is that fluoride binds magnesium and turns it into an insoluble mineral. The bond is so tight that magnesium is completely lost to the body. I will provide a list of classes of drugs that contain fluoride so you can be better informed of this unreported side effect. For your second tip, I want you to consume more organic dark leafy greens. Raw or cooked baby spinach, collard greens, kale, or Swiss chard will help increase your body's supply with bioavailable magnesium for very few calories. But the problem with using food, as you'll recall, is that food today is depleted. In that same speech to Congress, it went on to continue with this. Laboratory tests prove that the fruits, the vegetables, the grains, the eggs, and even the milk and the meats of today are not what they were a few generations ago. No man today can eat enough fruits and vegetables to supply his stomach with the mineral salts he requires for perfect health because his stomach isn't big enough to hold them. And we are turning into a nation of big stomachs. That leaves us with the last option to replenish and maintain a healthy supply of magnesium, and that is supplementation. There are so many different forms of magnesium supplements that it can be dizzying. And for that reason, I want to help you choose the best one for yourself and your circumstance. First thing to know is that magnesium chloride is the best one to take. It is regarded as the most absorbable form of magnesium. But most of the magnesium chloride supplements available have to be taken orally. And that brings me to the next point. Any oral supplement of magnesium has one very embarrassing side effect. This short video says it best.
The The problem for many years with trying to supplement orally is that there's only so much magnesium you can take orally without provoking diarrhea or loose stools. The different applications of magnesium really require high dosages. So you got a big limit, and also it's a very iffy thing. When you trying to digest magnesium tablets, you have to have hydrochloric acid, and not everybody is very strong on that, and then there's intestinal issues, and so it's not a guarantee. But if you put it on the skin...
So yeah, diarrhea, no fun. You end up losing more magnesium than you take in because it just goes out the other end. The best choice is something called Transdermal Magnesium. That simply means magnesium applied to the skin. Tablets or capsules get watered down and become impotent due to stomach acids and digestive enzymes, and that's before they even get into the bloodstream. Bypassing the stomach and liver means more goes straight into the bloodstream where it's needed. And skin has a greater surface area than any other organ in your body. There is no other way to get magnesium into the blood working its magic than through the skin. Truth be told, what I found in my research is the very best way to flood your body with the purest and most potent form of magnesium through the skin is to soak in the ocean. Not only do you get a powerhouse dose of magnesium from the ocean, but you get iodine and sunshine. But no other body of water has more concentrated levels of magnesium than the Dead Sea. In fact, the water of the Dead Sea is so dense that one cannot sink in it. Its mineral content is so thick that you'll just float. Thousands of people throughout history have traveled to the Dead Sea and other locations similar to it for its legendary healing power. But science has only now caught up with the reason why. Now, what if you could bring the Dead Sea right into your own home, or right into your own purse? After finding out how crucial magnesium is, I went on a search for ways to make transdermal magnesium available to everyone. After many dead ends, I finally met Stephen Krause, who specializes in mineral extraction from the Dead Sea and was able to extract a highly concentrated magnesium chloride together with other trace minerals from the Dead Sea. The result is a pure, clear, oil-like substance. It isn't actually an oil, but it feels like an oil. In this way, anyone can spray it on their skin and it will be instantly absorbed without any of the side effects of normal magnesium supplements. By putting it into a small portable spray bottle, anyone can carry this around with them anywhere. No more pills, no more swallowing, no more wasting money on ingredients that never end up in your cells anyway. After testing it on clients of mine, I started to get reports like these. My arthritis seems to be going away. I'm rubbing your oil around the areas where the arthritis is worse, and the swelling just seems to go down and the pain goes away. That is Eric from Phoenix, Arizona. Then there's Stephen, who is experiencing a calmness and relaxation he's never experienced since childhood. I feel a calm welling up inside my body. My nerves just settle down and I can focus and be calm. I haven't felt this way since I was a kid. I just don't get exhausted anymore. I feel a healthy, natural sleepiness at night. But during the day, I can just glide through it with very little stress. I personally know what he means because I experienced that as well. Now here's Liz Berner from Nashville, Tennessee, who has had sleep problems for over a decade. After discovering the dangers of sleeping medications, she stopped using them, but she kept waking up in the middle of the night and could never get a deep sleep all the way through the night. Here's what she wrote in. I'm sleeping through the whole night now. I forgot what that felt like. I got so used to being tired all the time. I thought that was just normal. No, it isn't. And here's Penny Crawford with a blood pressure, digestion, and flat stomach success story. My blood pressure has gone down. I can't believe it. My doctor said I can go off my meds soon. My digestion has also improved. I'm way more regular and my stomach is flat now. Next is Tony Redding, one of the many people who've written in with diabetes and have experienced relief. I have been able to reduce my insulin medication and my fasting glucose levels are lower now. How is this not known by everyone? Why is no one talking about this? I knew I had to get this into people's hands, but the next challenge was to create an airtight manufacturing chain from the Dead Sea and into the hands of people like you at a cost you can afford. Being in control of the entire supply chain is a major component of ensuring high quality and a step most supplement companies don't invest in. There is simply no control of contamination or accidental mixing of impurities. But with Stephen's patience and brilliance, he was able to distill, bottle, and deliver the purest form of magnesium oil in the market to you. But there is a catch. He has to make enough profit to make it a viable operation. So without further delay, allow me to introduce Renew. Renew is the first solution to bring the healing power of magnesium to your bloodstream through the skin to protect against or even reverse the medical threats we're experiencing below. After testing what would make it as easy as possible for people to use it and keep it with them, we designed an easy-to-carry spray bottle where you can spray the magnesium oil anywhere on the body and you'll get magnesium into your bloodstream, but without the embarrassing side effects and discomfort of oral magnesium, and without harmful drugs or side effects, something that's never been done before. As a natural health advocate and researcher, I simply cannot put my name and reputation behind any product that is not the highest quality that can be available. Other oils have been tested and found to have heavy metals such as mercury in them. This is especially true of magnesium oil that is sourced from anything called a salt lake. We live in a toxic world. The good old days are gone. All the salt lakes today have become reservoirs of industrial chemicals brought by the rain. Again, the reason other supplement companies cheat is because it means more profits for them. The real dose also means that we put the exact same amount of each ingredient proven effective in the research into our own formula. This is truly rare and expensive. But what would you rather have? A cheap bottle of nothing or a surprisingly affordable formula that works? Because you made it this far, I know you must be serious about getting the most out of your life, to live as free as you can, to live the life you deserve. My invitation to you is to try Renew for yourself and recharge your cells, your body fluids, and your organs with this miracle mineral, so you can defend against cancer, protect yourself against, or even improve diabetes, reduce or eliminate chronic pain, lower blood pressure, and therefore reduce the risk of heart disease or heart attack, restore your natural and abundant energy levels that last all day, and then sleep your deepest sleep every night. Before I show you how you can get Renew for yourself, let me share with you the startling cost of some alternatives. According to CNN, healthcare will likely be your biggest expense during the golden years, where a healthy 65-year-old couple can expect to spend $266,600 over the course of their retirement on Medicare premiums alone. Fidelity estimates it at a bit less, at $245,000, and neither estimate includes out-of-pocket expenses or long-term care costs. CNBC reported that a couple at 65 will spend anywhere from $13,000 to $15,000 out of pocket just for prescription medication. Here's a quote from UNnews.com. Newly approved cancer drugs cost an average of $10,000 per month, with some therapies topping $30,000 per month, according to the American Society of Clinical Oncology. Just a decade ago, the average cost per month of new drugs was about $4,500. Patients typically pay 20 to 30% out of pocket for drugs, so an average year's worth of new drugs would cost $24,000 to $36,000 in addition to health insurance premiums. Drugs aren't the only expense. Patients must also pay for drugs that mitigate the side effects of chemotherapy, pay provider and facilities fees, and often lose income when they miss work or lose their jobs. Those provider and facility fees are no joke. According to United Healthcare data, drugs themselves account for only 24% of direct cancer costs. Hospital and outpatient facilities account for 54% of costs, and physician fees account for 22%. According to diabetes.org, people with diagnosed diabetes incur average medical expenditures of about $13,700 per year, of which about $7,900 is attributed to diabetes. People with diagnosed diabetes on average have medical expenditures approximately 2.3 times higher than what expenditures would be in the absence of diabetes. I'm going to recommend you try a different option, one that is literally from the earth and has been proven to be necessary in today's world and prevent at least 57 known medical conditions, and one that won't break the bank. You see, because of the complexity, cost of keeping the purity of Renew to ensure you receive all the results you should be getting, Renew is far more costly to manufacture and deliver than other supplements on the market today. My colleagues tell me we should be charging at least $79.95 for a 30-day supply, which is an absolute bargain because, as you can see, it works. But that's not what we've decided to do. Because it's so important to us that you and anyone struggling with their health get access to this powerful formula, I'm going to make it as affordable as possible. I understand how being vulnerable, at the mercy of the medical machine and healthcare politics, can drain your sense of hope, diminish your confidence, and evaporate some of the joy out of life. And I don't want to come between you and the happiness you deserve, because it simply doesn't have to be this way. So what I'm going to do is allow you to try a 30-day supply for only $39.95. This means a lower margin for us because this manufacturing and delivery process is so expensive. Since most people choose to have a supply for several months and for more than one person, we're going to make it even more affordable by allowing you to order a 90-day supply for only $99.95, which is a $143.90 discount. And for those of you who are truly committed to the best, you can get a 180-day supply for only $159.95, saving you $319.75. Either way, Your results and satisfaction are guaranteed. You should know that we couldn't care less about sensationalism. As you can tell, I've not been sitting here parading a bunch of phony before and after photos of paid models like so many other companies do. Every testimony you've heard is sincere feedback from a certified paying customer. Now, in addition to having the most advanced magnesium supplement today, I want to make sure you get the most out of your new order of Renew. Right after you confirm your order, you can download each of the reports I told you about earlier. After you download these and read them for the first time, you'll wonder how you were able to live without them. Like most people, you may have more than one potential ailment that is already being triggered by a magnesium deficiency. By closing the doors on this hidden epidemic that is wreaking havoc everywhere, you'll not only have access to all of them to use with your new supply of Renew, you'll be able to give them to anyone you know who may need the help. First is the Magnesium Diet. This is your guide to keep your cellular magnesium levels high and constant through the use of delicious, energizing foods. It also includes the foods you want to reduce or avoid. These are foods that strip magnesium from your body and leave it vulnerable to all the threats I've described. I reveal the calcium myth, how we're not anywhere close to being calcium deficient, but in fact are likely experiencing calcium toxicity. How a staggering number of illnesses and diseases today are actually caused by excessive and unused calcium in the body. How magnesium is absolutely necessary to dissolve calcium in the body and therefore render it usable. And I explain how unused calcium causes hyperexcitability. I'd like to show you how to cook and prepare these foods so you preserve and retain all their life-giving minerals. And I'll also show you salt substitutes you can use with your meals that contain high levels of magnesium as well. What bottled water has the most magnesium and other vital minerals, and which brand has the least? You'll find that out as well. But that's not all. The biggest reason people fail with the change to a healthier diet is because they are not sure how to prepare their meals in advance. To get a head start, I've compiled a magnesium eating plan so you can plan out your meals and succeed. I'm also including the magnesium food list, a massive list of foods with the magnesium content in each. It's organized by content and also alphabetical order. You'll be surprised at how much variety and choice you actually have. If you'll remember, I told you about medical drugs that deplete magnesium from your body, some due to fluoride and others deplete it in other ways. That's why I created this report, Drugs That Destroy Magnesium. You may not know that your medication is causing side effects that are worse than what you're taking the medication for. You can discuss this with your doctor or natural health practitioner to see what alternatives you have. Last but not least is the Fluoride Detox Guide. Now that you know the deadly consequences of fluoride, you want to know how to reduce it from your life. There is simply no need for it. It is a toxin. Fluoride binds with magnesium and strips it from your bones, your teeth, your muscles, your nerves. It's not pretty. You'll be shocked, if not sickened, to find out how exposed you are to this chemical. But the good news is, you'll know the clever ways to virtually eliminate it from your life and from your body. The cost of these reports is $47 each. That's a total of $235. And you can download them absolutely free in the next 30 seconds when you order Renew right now. As you can imagine, this has created an avalanche of orders, so I'm not sure if we even have any Renew in stock at the time you're viewing this. If you don't see 3 options to order Renew below, that means we've sold out, and unfortunately we can't help you. You'll have to come back and order at the higher price. But if you do see 3 ordering options, it means we still have some in stock. So as it stands, you have 3 choices. Option 1. You could do nothing at all. You can continue to live your life, risk having an expensive, debilitating illness, even if it is only in its beginning stages, get worse. Roll the dice. Some people do win. Option 2. You could try some of the other options to increase your magnesium levels right now. You may get improvement. You might struggle with diarrhea, but hey, if you hit a home run, that is wonderful. I want you to get better. And then there's option 3. Simply try Renew. Try it for at least 2 weeks. The instructions are on the bottle. They're easy to follow. In today's world, the idea of having optimum health from food alone just doesn't work. I've shown you the evidence for that already. Today, we all need supplements. The food industry has created so much Frankenstein food, we don't know what we're eating anymore. Superbugs are evolving in response to all the antibiotics people are ingesting. Because of the constant and massive exposure to antibiotics in our food supply, these superbugs are strains of bacteria and viruses that have become immune to every antibiotic we know of. Fresh food like vegetables and fruits have been harvested early before the full spectrum of nutrients are developed in the fruits and vegetables. They're sprayed with chemical pesticides and herbicides, and we don't get the nutrients we need. You feel tired. You gain more weight. You get more aches and pains. You catch colds more often. There is no reason for this. All you have to do is click the Add to Cart button that has appeared below and order a bottle of Renew. You have nothing to risk whatsoever, but you have so much to gain. Just like Peter Hunter, who got his high blood pressure back down to normal. Since I started using it, I've been feeling calmer and more relaxed, so I got curious and checked my blood pressure. It's in the normal range. The last time it was in the normal range was over 10 years ago. Here's Susanna, who increased her flexibility. The very first day that I rubbed your oil on top of my knees and on my calves, then rubbed it well into the knee joints, some of the pain went down. Next, the edema, swelling, around my knees began to go down. It's awful when you can't reach down to pick up a piece of paper, you just drop it on the floor because your knees won't bend. And you can't tug your shoes over the heel of your foot. Then a short period of standing would bring on uncomfortable aches in my legs. The oil began to bring these abilities back to normal for me gradually, but permanently. I use it every day now, and my body rewards me by feeling better all the time. And there's Pauline from Ellensburg, Washington, who is concerned about her husband's pain and arterial blockage. My husband has a blockage of an artery in his leg and often had trouble with pain and soreness. He's on his feet all day long, and he can feel the muscles in his leg cramping. He used to come home from work limping. He sprays the oil on his leg, and sometimes we massage his leg with this oil, but even without the massage, he feels the difference within about 5 minutes of spraying the oil on. He says the oil itches at first, then the pain and cramping disappears. He started to use the magnesium oil with a heat treatment too, and lately he is not coming home limping anymore. And then there's Daniela Minus, whose doctor told her she was going to die soon. I am an older woman who has been diagnosed with a terminal heart condition, diabetes, high blood pressure, and neuropathy. Over a year ago, I had a major heart attack, which killed the entire back of my heart, leaving only a damaged front of my heart to carry the load. My doctor told me I would die shortly and to get my papers in order. His response when I disagreed with his prognosis was to offer more drugs to help me deal with my denial, in essence taking away any hope I had to survive. At that point, I decided to look for a cardiologist who would be open to alternative methods of healing, allow me to be involved, and would most importantly allow me to have hope. After months of unsuccessful appointments with closed-minded doctors, I decided to take my healing into my own hands and began my quest for a form of natural healing on my own. I stopped taking all prescription drugs and began experimenting with various alternative methods, techniques, and products in hope of finding a miracle cure. I felt no effect from some of the things I tried. With others, I felt a little improvement, but nothing made any real difference in my pain level or my incredible weakness. No matter what I did, I could not regain my strength or alleviate my continuous pain. Then a friend of mine, bless his heart, sent me some of your magnesium oil. The first day I sprayed a little below my ears on some glands that had been swollen for 20 years. Now I am serious, for 20 years, every single day, these glands have been swollen and sensitive to touch. When I got up the next morning, I decided to spray a little more on the glands, but when I began to rub the oil in, I noticed there was no swelling. The swelling wasn't reduced after 20 years. It was suddenly gone. That was the beginning of my love affair with magnesium oil. After 2 weeks of spraying it on my body 3 to 5 times a day, I now have periods each day where I am pain-free and I'm discovering more strength each day. It's incredible. This is the first product I've found that has given me such immediate and powerful results. I absolutely love this product and believe it has saved my life. I do not type these words casually. I was a dying woman and could feel my life force ebbing away each day. I now feel my strength and life force building in me, and I know that I will heal. Now here's Barry from Tampa, Florida, who was able to get his blood pressure down without using the pills his doctor wanted him to take. I have been using magnesium oil now for about 3 months and find it keeps my elevated blood pressure much lower without all the pills the doctor wanted me to be taking. It acts as a natural calcium channel blocker, as research is showing. I'm a diabetic, and this is very encouraging to prevent complications. And yet here's Fiona from Wilmington, Delaware, whose husband's cholesterol has gone down 250 points just by restoring his magnesium levels. My husband's cholesterol used to be very high, and now it has also dropped significantly. Yes, he has improved his diet, but I can't help but wonder if magnesium oil is not also working its wonders for this. He refused the advice on using a prescription drug from his MD and tried magnesium instead, with a lowering of bad cholesterol by almost 250 points. We are both thrilled beyond words. So go ahead and order your first bottle of Renew. If you're a little bit hesitant but still want to get all the amazing benefits you've heard, I totally understand. What you can do is order just one bottle. That's a full month's supply. You can relax, take your time, and try it out to your heart's content. And if you just want to get your money back, even if you've used up the whole supply of Renew, you just need to let us know within 365 days of receiving it, and we'll refund you, no questions asked. That's right, we're giving you a full year to decide. We only want happy customers, and we know you will be euphoric. That's why we're so confident. Yes, I'm sure some people will use it all up and ask for their money back. But from past experience, most people are honest and just want to live their days free from tiredness, illness, or fear of things getting worse. But if you are ready to stock up, maybe you want enough for other family members like your spouse or your children, or maybe your parents, or a friend who you know has been struggling with health issues. Then by all means choose the discounted price multiple bottle options. Our guarantee will still hold. Once you start using Renew, you'll probably notice a change in a few minutes. Most people do. If there's an ache, it'll start to feel softer, cooler, more soothed, and more relaxed. But after using it often, and your blood serum levels start to get higher on a daily basis, you'll notice your mind is clearer, like you have more attention to focus on things. Now that your body is not struggling to get enough oxygen to do what it needs to do, you'll feel extra energy. But it won't be a hyper caffeine-induced buzz. No, it'll be a calm, cool energy, like you have much more endurance. In the afternoon, you'll notice you don't have that 2 p.m. crash anymore. By dinner time, you'll notice you didn't need to drink those extra cups of coffee in the afternoon. And when it's time to sleep, you're going to have the deepest sleep you've had in a long, long time. Then you'll wake up feeling sharper than before, like your body got rest for the first time in years. For some, it might take a day or two longer. And if it's a severe condition, it might take a week. But one day it will happen. I call it the point of no return. It's where you feel like things have truly changed for the better, where you realize the usual pain and discomfort you used to experience has not come back, that it wasn't a fluke or a temporary high you had, where you know your struggle for deep and optimal health is finally over, where you know you can support and give attention to the people that mean the most in your life, your children, your grandchildren, your spouse, your friends. Until this moment, a part of you was being held hostage by pain and fear. But when the point of no return comes, the fear will be over. This is what I want for you. I want you to get your point of no return as soon as possible. So go ahead, place your order, and begin your transformation as soon as possible. Choose the option that suits you below. Again, you have nothing whatsoever to risk. In fact, I am taking all the risk. Even if you use an entire bottle and send it back, I will still process your full refund. Again, this is Michael, and thank you for your time. And please send me your success stories.